Welcome to today's presentation, everyone. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of what's included in the pre-construction bundle and how it can help to improve the work that you're doing in pre-construction, whether you're a general contractor or a subcontractor. Really the idea for this one is that we want to identify the areas of the products that you will be using and just highlight some key features within them. So just a couple of housekeeping slides here. For those of you who don't know us, we are IMAGINiT Technologies, a platinum partner with Autodesk. We have over 40 years of experience, many happy customers, and all that great stuff. So obviously you guys can read the slide here. I won't go through each bullet point, but one thing that we do pride ourselves on is generating solutions for our customers. So on my side of the fence here at IMAGINiT, I'm totally involved with creating solutions and consulting with our customers. So we support our sales team, but really we're the direct contact with the customer as we're going through implementing solutions and working through creating solutions. So some of the benefits that we offer are reducing costs based on configuration and customization of software and workflows, improve the quality of the work that you're doing, boost productivity and profitability, enable agility in changing on the fly, and accelerating your innovation to be on the cutting edge. So with this presentation, hopefully you'll find some good innovative uses of the Autodesk pre-construction bundle. Some of the other solutions that we offer outside of construction are on this page. So BIM and CAD management, building lifecycle management for facility management, CFD simulation, content development, data management, and again, I'm not going to read through all this, but we do have training and support. So all of the Autodesk products and many more we support. If you're interested in learning more information, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll make sure to share contact information towards the end of this presentation. So with that, I'll jump right into the agenda for today. So first off, just to kind of get everyone understanding what solutions are included in the Autodesk pre-construction bundle. So what products are in there and how do they fit into your workflows? So who will this help? And then Alan and I are going to be jumping into just brief product demonstrations. This is we're calling it a deep dive to the pre-construction bundle. So talking about all of the different products, but our intent is that we'll have more demonstrations that do deep dives specifically into the products that are offered within the bundle. So we'll wrap it up then, answering questions from the Q&A panel. All right, so first off, the solutions that are included in the pre-con bundle. You've got Autodesk Takeoff ProS, which is a new solution, a tool that Autodesk recently acquired, and then Building Connected Pro, which includes Bidboard Pro and TradeTap. So in the pre-construction bundle, I'd like to break it down into these 4 different categories for pre-construction. So quantification, estimating, bid management, and qualification. So how do each of these solutions fit within those buckets? Well, you see here with quantification, the solution to support that is Autodesk Takeoff. For the estimating needs, we have ProEst. Bid management, Building Connected Pro, Bidboard Pro, and then for qualifying your subcontractors and bidders, we've got TradeTap. All right. So first off, and I don't know, Alan, do you want to speak to Takeoff since you're going to be doing the demo part of this? If you want to just kind of talk through what Takeoff gives us and some of the benefits of using Takeoff.
Sure. Thanks, Vince. So the Takeoff product within the ACC is it's going to, like Vince was talking about with ProEst, the integrations coming down the pike, the 2D and 3D takeoff capabilities in Takeoff that we have right now certainly will be enhanced with those integrations. In ProEst, we have 2D, but the benefit of Takeoff that we have right now is the 3D capabilities. So We'll jump into that whenever we do get into the software, but there's just a very robust capability to do takeoffs and advancing to digital workflows that you may or may not be taking advantage of right now, where with developing of formulas and doing extremely detailed takeoff with multiple the classification systems to your liking. You can implement whatever you currently have in place with your takeoff with your schemes, and customize what exists, that type of stuff. And then also Excel, push out to Excel. Most likely most folks already have a solution in place for the next step beyond takeoff with estimating, and we can very quickly and easily push out an Excel spreadsheet to integrate with those. So,
cool. Thanks, Alan. And another thing I'll add to that is that Takeoff does live in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. It is a separate solution outside of Autodesk Build and BIM Collaborate Pro. However, you can utilize the files and the models that you are placing in Build. So even though this is part of the pre-construction bundle of solutions, Takeoff does integrate very well with the other ACC products. So if you're getting models from a design team, or if you're a subcontractor being shared a model from a general contractor or a construction manager, then you can utilize that information both in 2D, so markups on takeoffs in PDFs, or utilizing those 3D Revit models. So really, the power here in Takeoff, its strength is definitely in the 3D arena. For estimating, so this is one that's newer, and unfortunately, we don't have access to show you ProEst live, so it's not part of our product demo. But ProEst it fills a gap that Autodesk didn't have just recently, and that is an estimating solution. ProEst is completely cloud-based as an estimating solution, so you don't have to worry about an Excel file or separate files that exist on servers or anything like that. It is fully in the cloud, and the intent is that general contractors and subcontractors can use ProEst cloud-based estimating solution to ensure that their estimates are accurate, bids are competitive, and projects are profitable. So there's some really cool analytics and tools built into this. Typical formatting, CSI formatting, is built into the system, so you can start to develop your estimates very quickly within ProEst. ProEst does have direct integration with the cost management module from Autodesk Build, so we can push the estimates that are generated in ProEst into that module. So there's a good integration, no data loss between the two. I guess for risk management, you're not worrying about missing certain cost codes or line items and labor and that sort of thing with the integration between ProEst and Build. So the idea here is, you're going to increase productivity and the data accuracy and reduce those manual data entry points and errors that might occur in a traditional process of sharing or carrying over a spreadsheet into cost management. The idea for the Autodesk Construction Cloud is that we have solutions that fit into all of the construction needs. For bid management, now this one is a little bit, I wouldn't call it confusing, but there are different pieces that fit into the bid management process in pre-construction, as identified in one of the previous slides. Building Connected Pro is essentially the interface that everything is integrated into now, but there are different supporting applications that fall within that bid management process, including TradeTap and BidBoard Pro. For Building Connected Pro and TradeTap, we can manage our company projects, so we can create projects through Building Connected, and in those projects we're able to create bid packages and invite bidders and qualified bidders into our project to submit responses to bids and RFPs. We can also attach files to those bid packages through BC Pro, link information to projects in Autodesk Build. One part of that is basically we can push a folder from BC Pro, from a project that we create in BC Pro, directly into a project that we've already created in Autodesk Build. It does have integrated bid and risk management tools to choose the right builder for the job, and it is the largest network of construction professionals. So I will show this with really quick in my demonstration, how a contractor can upload a profile to add to the network. And then we've got BidBoard Pro. So probably more, there's some use here for a GC on BidBoard Pro, but probably is being more utilized by subcontractors. But this is where BidBoard Pro, you can track the opportunities that you bid on. You can view any pending bids that you might have sitting in a queue. And it's all in one single location. So it's really manageable, well organized, and all of this information sits in one place. I've heard Building Connected Pro being compared to other social networking sites like LinkedIn. So you can almost think of it as like a LinkedIn version of a bid management system. And then for qualification, we have TradeTap. So TradeTap allows us to create questionnaires and invite certain contractors to qualify for bid. With the integration of TradeTap into Building Connected, we can then verify that contractors have been qualified or qualified with exceptions to bid on certain parts of our projects, and that shows up when we create those bid packages. So we can manage our qualification invitations within this app. It's pretty simple, but it does gather it all in one nice area. Then who will this help? Really, there are two areas, general contractors and subcontractors. Probably general contractors with the pre-construction bundle will be able to utilize these tools in their entirety. Being able to do or quantify with Takeoff, push those takeoffs into a ProS solution, which I just put in parentheses here that it does integrate to cost management. So it's still feeding that actual project information that we want for project management. But then we can push those estimates into Building Connected to manage our bids, bid packages, attach files and information to them, and qualify bidders with BC Pro/TradeTap. From subcontractors, if it's a subcontractor like an MEP or HVAC subcontractor, they can still utilize the different parts of the suite. There probably are different individuals involved with different portions of it, and maybe to a lesser extent than a general contractor. But in the case where we're doing takeoffs for sheet metal or ductwork, as a subcontractor, we can keep that in-house and use Takeoff, do our estimates with ProS, and then respond to bids and track the status of our bids using BidBoard Pro. So that's generally the audience that the pre-construction bundles are catered for. And not everyone is going to be involved with every aspect of the solution in the pre-construction bundle, but having them as a package basically completes the workflow for pre-construction. All right, and with that, I will let Alan take over and do his demonstration on Takeoff, and then I will jump in after he's done to do my BC Pro demonstration.
All right. Thank you, Vince. So for Takeoff, today we want to take a look at just the overall, just kind of a high-level overview and the some of the tools and some of the opportunities to, maybe grow our estimating or, our Takeoff practice to push downstream into estimating into the digital realm, depending on whether or not you're there yet or not. So we start off here in the Takeoff homepage, landing page, and we have a lot of opportunities to be customized in the setup of Takeoff with our classification and classification systems and so on. So depending on what formats you're utilizing, Uniformat, CSI, things like that, you are able to customize that out of the box. And there's setup that goes into this in the beginning, but at the same time, one of the best parts about this, and things we need to take into account is, as Vince mentioned earlier, the common data environment, where in the Autodesk build, and the overall Autodesk Construction Cloud platform, we work from a common data environment where I can go and I establish my project, and as the phases of the project move forward, I've started from I go upload all of my information, and then I can go and distribute that information into the various areas, whether it be takeoff or build, your sheets, your files, and so on. So best practice there. My apologies. Close all that. Okay, so in getting started, we want to really, develop here, as it says, develop your classification system. One thing to be aware of is when we start off a project with a classification system, we're setting that classification system for that project, and we are able to modify it, but it's set. We can go and add to it, but we cannot. It's fairly set once we've kicked off. So if we click here, we can go and start to see where we start from. So as you can see, your classification system 1 and 2 being optional, you can come in here and notice that we can export, and as like I said, as needed, if you need to build this structure out and add add additional levels of detail and classes, you can go and do so. Export that out, go and open that up and modify that accordingly. Very, very important throughout the platform is that you're following, there's, wherever you go in this platform, there will be documents that are the templates that you need to follow for structure, but they provide you that template so that you meet that format, and then you can go and re-import that, make your additions to, make any additions as needed to this to customize it for your needs, and then you're able to re-import that with those changes made for assignment of content. And our secondary classification system, this all comes in incredibly important as we're trying to, as we're taking off. And ultimately, what is best practice, certainly whether or not we get there and we're that organized, is making sure that what we're creating here will align with the information that we're pushing downstream, say an Excel spreadsheet, to align with any cost, any costing setup that we have, costing schemes that we have downstream. So we go back to packages, we create packages, however you see fit. You go by division, go by, master format, uniformat, set those up accordingly. And as we get in here, notice how we have some updates. Well, say that there's, you got in at you did a very early estimate and you weren't sure if you were going to go after the job, whatever the case is. We can always add with addendums or later later deliveries. We can always change these and add to existing. We can add to existing takeoffs, or we can go and add supplemental takeoff. So we'll start off talking about we'll just creation of the packages, like we were talking about. To create a package, let's call it package 1. We are going to now be able to take and add information to our packages. So we go, like we said, 2D and 3D. We go and upload files, and in doing so, you're able to upload and make sure you have the version set. So say it was 100% CDs, and then all of a sudden there's an addendum. You can add that, and very nicely, as it does throughout the program in Build with your sheets, it will do the extraction with OCR technology to pull those sheets and numbers and titles and so on. Streamlining that process very much. So we can go in and start taking a look at these files. We'll take a look at 2D and the 3D tools. The tools are fairly well overlapped. I mean, it's fairly similar options, but one you're selecting from 3D BIM elements versus here where you're actually doing the 2D picking and clicking. So let's see. And I've got a few in here, a little bit jumbled. It's my plumbing fixture package, but at the same time, I've got other stuff in here just to illustrate some of the various options for takeoff of different types of components. So as you can see here, here's all of the sheets that I have available to me. Notice that when I go and choose, like right here, say that we had an update to our drawings, we needed to say, okay, this was last week. Now I need to know what's going on this week. They gave us an update to the design. Well, one of the benefits that we have, let me go to this one actually. One of the benefits that we have that we all know that oftentimes we may not receive is there may be a change in a document. There may have been something changed from last week to this week, and we maybe didn't receive a change, an illustration or a change narrative, whatever you want to call it. Well, we can see here to do a compare. This is also available in the build platform, but we can see, okay, here's last week, here's this week. We do a compare, and this allows us to go and maybe add or subtract from our takeoff as needed. So this is a very powerful tool that lets us make sure that we're not missing things, something we always want to be, that we always need to make sure is the case. So that's that. And if you saw the option here, notice takeoff items on a previous sheet. So what do you want to do? You want to pull that into this version, or do you want to restart, move them up to here or restart on this version so we could basically achieve a delta from last week or from our last estimate. So whatever the case is, let's get in here and let's continue. We don't want to move those. We want to just continue. Notice our takeoffs. So we have all of our library of all of our sheets and models, and then actually our takeoff types. So we can go and create takeoff types a number of ways. So if we come in here, say we want to create takeoffs for whatever version, notice we have our structure. I can go create these. I can bring them in from other old projects. Notice import takeoff types. So, once you've established that classification system and you start creating all of your types, well, it's very templatized as this software is across the board. You can go and grab it from an old project, bring it into this project. So say that I want to go and grab some types from one of my old projects. I can go and grab a bid package from there and pull it into this project, okay? So you can go and export, or I should say import, of course, but we can also create takeoff types here just natively in here. So say like a floor drain, something like that. Notice our options, our tools. We have areas, very common that you would notice or that you would be familiar with in other packages. Areas, linear, counts, and then of course a BIM when we get into the 3D. Set your colors, give it a description, and so on. With your primary outputs, notice we have our classification structure that we've developed previously. So what is this going to be? Is it is it part of our substructure? Is it interiors? Is it services? What is it? And we'll just say that it's maybe part of the, and notice you can go at different levels. I don't have to drill down if I just want to say it's part of my plumbing package because it's too early. I just want to get the overall higher level picture. Drill down as deep as you need to in the levels of your system as you need to. You can add classifications, a classification too. One thing we more often will see is that folks will come in and create an additional output. And I'll show you one of those so that I have a little bit set up a little bit more, but you add that additional output to make a quote unquote assembly takeoff. Notice the formula option here too. So this will be a floor drain. And a count, that's fine. We just dig in and start doing our takeoff. Oops, count, my bad. And notice this, it's the size. So we want this to be, you know, fairly small size. We don't want it to show up huge on our print because we got tons of these things. You get the idea. And now we can go and start doing our takeoffs. They've added a couple things in the probably last quarter. You know, here's a floor drain. You can go and do feature recognitions much like you would do in other packages. Notice down here, if we go and do symbol detection, when the symbols are obscured and obstructed, you know, you're going to have trouble with that, of course, like you can see right here. But with that in mind, symbol detection, I think we would all agree that it gets us, you know, maybe 75% of the way there, and then we always go back and check, right? So the symbol detection is a nice tool. And we continue, and as you go, you can see floor drain 1 that is building as we go. And I didn't mean to do that. I select it and delete it. And they make sure that you want to delete it, which is nice. So one of the nice things that we can do here is also to copy. We all know the tedious nature of these processes. So if I have something that I need to duplicate, I can copy it, Control C, Control V, and we are then able to go and do whatever we need to do. Either we can mirror it, say that's not correct, I can mirror it, right click, mirror it vertically, oops, Control Z, there we go. So say that's close enough for what I need, boom, done. Pretty simple. We can copy from page to, you know, from a sheet to sheet. Say we have the same floor plates on a hotel, whatever the case, we can copy and paste. Very simple there, just Control C, Control V, and that is going to, again, build in my inventory as I go. So in the last few months, they added these options here for shortcuts. Very, very important. Again, the tedious nature, we want to be able to do this with as many, I know I enjoy using hotkeys as much as possible. So utilizing these tools to modify and actually, you know, just expedite the creation, the takeoff process is very, very important. Something that's kind of quirky is, you know, say we have some wall base, oops, too small. All right. Select it. Always pay attention to the right-click options in 2D and 3D. But notice we can insert a vertex if we need to make this at an angle. And we realized afterwards we needed to do that. Notice also if I do say, this is something that's odd. If you look at the shortcuts, you know, A is supposed to be an arc, which makes sense that E would be an ellipse. But if you click A, you get the option to do an ellipse, but it, you know, it's what it is. So, and conversely, if you do E, it gives you the arc. So just kind of funny, something to remember about that. So we've taken a look at those and how to create them and how to actually, you know, create new types with the various types of tools and so on and so forth. Let's take a look at the inventory really quickly, and then we'll jump over to the BIM side. So here in our inventory, the bottom left here is where to go to access that. We can separate, or we can, organize by our classification systems. Which document are you currently, do you want to go jump to? Things like that. Which takeoff type do you want to see? And then also locations. And as we've talked about a few times, this software, you know, a project in particular, With setup, you'll have, say it's a quadrant building, you'll have areas A, B, C, D, and say there's 5 floors. You can input area 1, A1 for area A, first floor, A5 for area A, 5th floor. And that'll allow you to see an area of a building and all of the takeoff in that area. Again, just a different glimpse into our takeoff, just a different way to look at the takeoff in our inventory. So say that we want to see what we have here. Here's our roll-up of our takeoff. And if we select one of the items, we get a little bit more information about it. Select it, and then we can go and choose to zoom to that location. I have no idea where that was, and I can go and find it instantly by just selecting it and jumping to it with this fit to view, and it takes me to that sheet instantly. I can, if I need to, if you're interested in those locations, I can go and assign a location on the back end. And let's see, if we look at our settings, notice we can configure our spreadsheet here in the columns that we need to see. What do we need to add? We can, as you can see, you can change the hierarchy. Say, hey, I want to see this first. I want to see the unit, then the distance, and it lets us customize that as we see fit. Okay. And we can also make it, make it show up large or dense, things like that, right? And ultimately, we're going to be exporting that out to, again, a software we're going to use downstream. Ultimately, will most likely, hopefully, be ProEst, right? So open this up. And there is our takeoff based on our sheet. So, by sheet. If I want to, again, it's as I had that set up at that moment, it was by sheet. So if I go by classification, it'll go by that. So however you configure that, that's how your takeoff will be pumped out and exported. So if we come back and let's take a look at other documents, X out of here. And we go, and instead of seeing our sheets, let's go and take a look at our models. A few different things we can do in here. So it is not, I know from experience, having a model early enough for it to, really powerful and useful takeoff isn't always possible, but it's becoming more possible, right? And as model-based estimating grows, this is the type of tool that's really going to help us get a better perspective on our takeoffs and estimating and understand, what we just can't get from 2D when we have that model. It really will help us out. So we take a package and we can then come in here and let's take a look at a few of the different tools that allow us to kind of segment this and kind of create a better understanding of this model from a takeoff perspective. So let's see, jump down here. Same thing as it would be in the 2D environment. One of the differentiators you'll see, as you can see here, it's not available because it is 2D, right? You see it's a BIM object because you've got the cube, okay? So we take a look and we can come in here and do the same thing that we would do normally with our types of creation, right? And again, that can be, it's going to be derived from the structure the scheme that you develop in your project. Always looking at, just throughout the program everywhere, always paying attention to your settings, right? How do you want to group these? This allows us to, much like our export of our inventory, it allows us to view this list how we see fit. So if you want to see it all the way to its most granular level, choose all levels, or if you just want to see it at its top level, choose level 1. So we come in and we can choose to filter to. If we don't want to see all of these various, we want to filter by various types of takeoffs, we don't have to see everything because this list will ultimately get incredibly long. So as far as picking and viewing and whatnot, The benefit of this is having our the Revit context. So you have a Revit model browser, basically the same thing you would see in a Revit model browser, that allows us to see and kind of pick apart and have a transparency placed on all of our information. So as you can see, as we pivot here, you can see there's all of our plumbing content. Everything, it's a plumbing fixture, right? And I expand that and I can see, well, maybe I don't want to see this or this or this. I just want to see, maybe I just want to see the mop basins. Like, where are all my mop basins? And the amount of additional context that this gives us, again, a 2D picture, a 3D picture of a 2D sheet is worth 1,000 words, because we all know that our information and our projects are being derived. If it's a Revit project, it's being derived from the Revit model. How nice would it be to be able to see that in the model in context and then be able to take it off? So the nice option here is that, as I pivot, you can see there's those elements. I know we can very clearly see we have 5. And if I want to go and do, I don't know that I have a mop basin set up here, but we'll just go and add it to add it to Windows or whatever the case, bear with me. So we select that, and I can come in and I can add these elements to that takeoff. So I select it, boom, I've added those 4 elements to that takeoff. Notice what happens. It is now based on the settings of that element, those elements become highlighted, and they assume the color that we attribute to them, right? So that's just a very quick and dirty, simple option for doing takeoffs of mop basins, right? What else can we do here if we want to reset our visibility to show all objects, right? One thing that I think is really powerful are these form clusters. It lets us, it's an exploded view of our project, and it lets us do, and we can similarly do the same takeoff. We have the same opportunities to do the takeoff here as we do just literally doing it from, say, the model browser. And as you can see, when I do that, it's kind of a good check for us, right? We can say, okay, I took off this many things, and I can see, hey, I just took those 4 off. The rest of this hasn't been done. So what I could do, say that this is another mop basin, I can just click on these and I could go and add those, right? Again, bear with me on the items that I'm taking off. So I'll be undoing all of that for sure. So it's a very easy way for us to pick apart the model and have it make sense, and we can see what we're missing, right? Additionally, let's get rid of the form cluster. Everything you would expect in the ACC environment with model browser. As you select elements, you're going to be able to see the data and all the properties of those elements, the Revit content, right, with the properties. The sectioning options for Z-planes so that we can, again, better visualize our project. Say I only want to see what's in that first floor. This is going to help us very much with the sectioning. Measurements, go to first person to do a navigation. Walking through. Okay, so all the things you would expect out of a BIM viewer, in the ACC, you have it here again to just kind of help us get a better perspective on the model. Do not exit. But let's go back home. And we get rid of the Z and we get back to good. All right. So one thing we want to, let's see, what else do we need to make sure? Again, it's always important to, when you select elements, the nice thing is that it will jump you to those locations in the model browser. So this is something you'll want to basically always have open. Okay. jumps you directly to that element, and you can say, okay, I don't want to see that, turn off the elements. It really helps us to better understand our project with having this model browser open. So that's a number of the options. It's kind of hard to do, but if I come in here, I'll window less. I won't window everything, because when I window everything, it really becomes hard to pick apart. But you can see here, say I have a number of elements I want to add to my takeoff. You can see how they go. I can go and I see everything highlighted that has been selected. So this helps me to, be able to add a grouping of items to the takeoff if I need to. All right. Vince, anything that you want to throw in there on the 2D or 3D takeoff?
No, I think you covered it all. I liked seeing the 3D capabilities. I think that's the differentiator with Takeoff. Obviously, there's a lot of solutions that can do 2D takeoffs, but utilizing BIM in the whole Autodesk Construction Cloud workflow, I feel like this is huge. And I like that clusters thing too. Easy to break it down to the Revit categories and select what you need to based on those different clusters.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, I think I'm good on my end.
All right. Well, thank you, Alan. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. So let's see. According to my clock, we're at 1:40, so a little bit over, I think, what we initially anticipated in the first place, but that's fine. What I do want to show you guys is a brief demonstration on what we get with Building Connected and the different pieces that fit into it. As you can see, in Building Connected, we have our IMAGINiT Technologies company profile. So similar to a lot of the different ACC products, our navigation pane is based on the left here over in Building Connected, and it does allow us to switch between the different modules within BC Pro. Starting with our company at the top here, there's just some really basic information that we tie to our company. So first off, we've got our company profile here, just general information about what type of company we are, labor type, enterprise, and business type. So these things are important because if we do happen to be a subcontractor, these are the types of fields that are searchable within the bidding system or the qualification system. So I can always edit the profile and change this information. Also within the company, we can include multiple offices. There does have to be a designated main office, which is our Owings Mills office, but me being based out of our Detroit area, our office is in Troy. When I click on my office, we can see that there are a few of us included in our office location, and we can invite additional coworkers into this system. So this is really just a general profile for our company and how we can manage the different locations and the different offices that pop up. I'll show you when we get into bidding how that comes into play, but let's go back to the company. Going through the actual projects within Building Connected Pro. So from a general contractor perspective, if I am going to create a project here and invite people to bid on it, it's a really simple setup initially. Under projects, we just go into new project, enter in our project number and the name of the project. So I can do this live. I'll just type in general information here, pre-con demo. And then we can set an overall bid due date, which let's make this October 31st. Where the location is, these aren't all required fields, so I'm just going to skip over them. Pretty self-evident what they do. The currency that we want our bids to be presented in, and then we can set different dates, things like job walk, pre-bid RFIs, expected start and finish dates, who the architect associated to that project is, and a description. A couple of things I do like to point out here when you're creating the project. So for companies that want to send the invitations to bid, so if you have specific vendors, contractors that you're having bid on the project, you can manually pick to send those invitations to those selected bidders, or if we just generally want to send requests for budgeting purposes, there is another area where we can designate this as being negotiated work. And if I go into, this is what I was looking for. If it's a sealed bid, we can also tie that into the project. So keep bids sealed until the bid due dates for review. And we can require NDAs. And then whenever anyone is bidding, we can put that, have a signed NDA assigned to the bid package. So some pretty cool stuff that we can do here generally for the project. I'll just go ahead and create it. Oh, let me uncheck that. And it will show up in my projects list. So these are the projects that I've generated. We can look at our office projects or overall to our company projects, so we can see all of our company's collective projects. I'll just go back to my projects. One that I set up in preparation for this session was just this IMAGINiT corporate office project. So just walking through from a general contractor, once a project is created, we can then go into that project and upload different files to it if we want to share those files out. This is kind of like the same thing as having your files in Autodesk Docs. But if I go back to this first tab here, bid packages, this is really where we go to create those bid packages and RFPs within Building Connected Pro. So if I wanted to create, or if we do have something, if we're pushing maybe from an estimating solution, if we wanted to generate the different line items, we can import those in, or potentially like a submittal process or export them to submittal. But if we want to create a new bid package manually within Building Connected Pro, all you have to do is click new bid package. I'll spare you the time of going through all of the picks and clicks here because I already have some created, but essentially you're putting a package number to it, the name, you can tag it with different keywords, assign a bid package lead to it to manage that bid, and an estimated cost. So you might be pulling in the different cost information or importing it in to create your bid packages from your estimating solution to set a baseline number, and then any additional instructions that you would put to that bid package. And then all of this other stuff as we saw in the project area. You can also set dates for job walk, pre-bid RFIs, and expected start and finish dates. So right now I'm just using the project date that I generated from the project, but if we wanted to customize that for a specific item, like concrete framework, we can put custom information in for this specific package. So let me cancel out. Actually, let's just do this. Sometimes doing it live is good enough. And I should point out here the bid package name. There are some presets in here. I don't know why you can't scroll through this, but if you started to type in something like duct insulation, it's going to autocomplete from this list, and you can then pick that. It automatically flags it with a keyword associated to the package name. And we can add keywords to this from this list, do a view all, and then pick from that master list through scrolling through it and adding keywords. So now let's go ahead and I'll put a price to that. Duct insulation, let's just go $10,000. Save it. Once you've created the bid package, it automatically directs you to this next step, which is inviting bidders to the project. So one thing that's really great about Building Connected Pro is I mentioned in the PowerPoint to lead off that it is a very vast and large network of contractors and builders that are in this system. We can either search or import companies into the bidding process. And I'll talk about how we can verify pre-qualification for those bidders, or we can look through that entire database and have the AI within the program kind of develop the bidder list for us. So if we're just generally adding 10 bidders from this area, it's going to send that bid package out to those bidders and invite them. I'll go through this manually to add. So one of the things it does here is based on this keyword for work performed duct insulation, it searches that database to find all of the people that have that match within the network. From here, we can add specific contacts to send that bid invitation out to. And we can scroll through this list. There are different ways we can filter our search. So if we're looking for domestic bidders only, union labor, non-union, and other tags that we might have that we want to add to it, it's just going to filter that list. If I wanted to add all 74 of the duct insulation companies to this, I can click this button here, or filter that down, or add them individually as companies. So, or sorry, the contacts at those companies. So once that gets sent out, if I just search for, we've kind of preset some of this up. So this is in the network. We can import people from emails or other projects, other bid packages that we've created to bid on similar bid packages. Let's see. Import information from our company. So this is kind of all of the projects that we have. So all of this is just database information that exists within our projects, within our IMAGINiT company and different offices within IMAGINiT. If we want to invite individuals via email, we also have that option. So if someone doesn't show up in that network, but we know that they are someone that we want to invite to bid, we can just type in their name manually. And actually, I will probably add myself so I can show what this looks like. So I'll add Alan here. Oops, I should have clicked the other button. If I go back to that add bidders, I can add my name to it. And now I should get an email within a few moments that says, hey, you've got an invitation to bid once, or sorry, there's one other step. So as you're going through the bid package to finalize this, so before I do that, I'll show you can upload any files, like RFP forms, spec information, whatever files you want to upload to attach to this bid package, you can do so through this area here. And when someone's reviewing it, they can view those files. We can also include standardized bid forms. So these are based off of, you can create different templates and you can edit these bid forms directly in the bid package. And once we've assigned everything that we want to the bid package, we simply publish it. And then all of the bidders that we assign to that distribution list will then get an email notification to say that they're invited to bid on duct insulation. So let's see here if I pop this out. There we go, little ding to my Outlook. Let's see. Sorry, moving I don't think I have anything here that's confidential in my email list, but you can see here, I get this email. I can view this RFP directly from my email. And when I click on that, it's tough to show this because I am involved in or I'm part of the same company, but this is the page that it will direct you to when you want to view that bid invitation. So we can say that, yes, we're going to bid, or no, we're going to decline that. And that's the page that your different subs will see when they're invited to this bid. So where does all of this go? So the next thing that I like to show is jumping down into this bid board for my company. This is a collection of all of the bids that are out. So anything for me internally. So this is tough to show because it can be utilized by both the general contractor to manage the outgoing bids, but it can also be used as a subcontractor to view bids that were received. So in this case, the one that I just sent for duct insulation now shows up as a bid that was sent to me. And upon reviewing it and deciding if we're going to actually bid on this, we can either decline or say, yep, we're bidding on it. This one's going to be low priority for us because it's only $10,000 and we have a bunch of work in our queue. So I'll say, all right, a rough order of magnitude, just generally, we're accepting it without doing a lot of number crunching. I'm going to say this is about $15,000. And once we've done that, it gets pushed into our accepted area, and then we can basically go through that in more detail, submit a final bid, which will show up in this queue, and then that goes back to whoever is managing the project on the Building Connected Pro side. They'll say that the bid was submitted, and then you have the ability to set the outcome. So I can click on any one of these. Actually, let me click on a different one. If accepted, we can put follow-up information, set an outcome, and we can actually award it, say that this was won. Hey, cool, we won it. All of this is trackable as well. So there is analytics feedback. There's a dashboard in here to review the total bids that were sent out, bids won. So BidBoard Pro does a lot for tracking and managing the bids that you have in your queue. And from a GC perspective, you can track data between bids that you've sent out to subcontractors and see who are, generally qualifying for the work that you're bidding. Other than that, there's some cool stuff in here like calendar. This all ties back to that project information, bids due, job walk, RFI, follow-up, which I didn't enter, but we can see that the bids were due for these two that I created on the 30th. And if I jump forward to, let's see, it's a month view, 4-week look ahead. So if I click this enough, I should get to October 31st. And because that one was already sent and submitted, now it's not showing. So I should have thought of that, but it would show here for that due date for the duct insulation. The last part of this, and I know we're getting really close to the top of the hour, the last part is really trade tap for qualifying contractors. So the way that this works is if you're creating a project and requesting bid, you can create a survey or a questionnaire that you can then send out to different contractors to submit. I'll show one that we have in our queue that we actually responded to, but there are survey forms. There's some standard templated ones that you can send out, or you can customize your questionnaire/survey for people to respond to. But the way that these look within the system, if I look to one that we've submitted, so this is just information that we receive to respond to an invitation, and essentially just fill out this questionnaire with identifying all of the answers that we can. And this also does support, it's basically like a glorified form within Autodesk Build, but you're putting in this information, it's storing it to qualification, and then once we submit this, the contractor, the GC, can then say that we're qualified or qualified with exceptions, and then that's how it shows when you're actually submitting items for bid within the Building Connected Pro portion of the interface. So you can have financials and sort this stuff. So on the right panel here, you can jump to different sections within the questionnaire, but all of the supporting financial information, if it's required, can be uploaded here in PDF format. If it requires, I think we have our organizational kind of chart. Let's see. Yeah, so the officers listed here. So general contact information, who's the authorized signatory, and this is generally how we would respond if we're trying to become qualified to bid on a project, and then all of this is customizable. So all of this information, really the three parts of Building Connected Pro: your general project management, your bid board that you can search the queue for bids that are out there, and then your qualification status. If we were managing this from a GC perspective, we would have questionnaires that are out for response, and then any that are actually completed or submitted that we can review, and then through that we can qualify those companies. One last thing I do like to show, and I mentioned that this is the largest network of contractors. It is crowdsourced. If you want to get in on this process, if your company is not part of this network, all you have to do is go to this website, buildingconnected.com, bid board, bid invites, and complete a company profile, and that will add you to the network. So then you will be part of that searchable area for sending bids and bid invitations out. The qualification is an additional step. There are some really cool metrics that get gathered through this. I think I covered this. So just information about the companies that you would see within their, I guess, their company profile that you can review, see what types of projects they worked on. But all of this just helps to qualify and mitigate risk with inviting different subs into projects. So I think we're over time. I don't want to extend too far without going through the Q&A. So let's see. I will stop sharing and we can
I answered some of the questions that were there, so I'm sure there's maybe there's some more, but yeah, I think I touched on what the questions were that were in the Q&A section.
Yeah, and I know it's 2:02. We still have quite a few people that are on the call still. I have put my email address into the chat, so if you have questions about today that you think later, please go ahead and grab my email and you can email me. Again, this is being recorded and you'll get a copy emailed to you next week. So I know that with the Q&A, people can't see what the questions are. It's just the way the platform is built. I'll run through them quickly just because people are still with us. And Alan has answered all of them. So I'm going to ask the question, Alan, and I'm going to get you just to respond, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. So question 1, and Anthony, thank you so much for submitting these. Is it able to work with something that is 2D, 3D hybrid?
So, I mean, just based on the question, yes, we can work in the 2D and 3D environments. Maybe if we could have a follow-up question, maybe a session to discuss that. But ultimately, you're able to work in both the 2D and 3D, and literally just uploading both of them into a package, you'll have access to both. So, yep. Fully functional, that is in the Takeoff environment, not in ProEst, if that maybe adds context.
Okay. Question number 2, are you able to exclude items that you know should not be counted? Example, lights accidentally placed in the floor slab.
Most definitely, and what I read that as is if there's say it was placed and it was hosted into a floor mistakenly, certainly that's one of the benefits certainly of the Revit, the 3D environment, such that you can determine that. You go and you maybe hide everything except for all of your lights just to make sure that they actually were hosted properly. So there's other opportunities to utilize that 3D model in this environment to identify any issues with model integrity and just concerns. So you would be able to go and select, maybe do a selection of all of your lights, and then be able to go and pull that out of the Takeoff when you see that it is in the wrong location.
Okay. All right. I have a single AEC collection seat. Can we use docs to share Revit models for GC to use it for ProEst?
ProEst. Yes, and it just depends. So I tried to clarify because docs as the common data environment, you can utilize that as whatever you're maybe utilizing right now. If you have a collection or if you have docs, you can use that just as a sharing platform like a Dropbox or something like that. But again, ProEst has 2D functionality for Takeoff in particular. So that will not, you can't utilize you can't use a model, so to speak, in ProEst, but you can shoot them. You could do the print off of all of and publish all your sheets to docs and then send that over to them.
Okay, and I'm hoping I'm saying right. Jax is asking shared views. Okay, he says okay. Okay. And then the last question, I'm hoping I'm saying this right, but I'm thinking that they're asking if this bundle is from Autodesk or IMAGINiT. Also, is the company only dealing with estimates? Can they get only this part of the bundle. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
so I think so. I can answer it. The bundle is offered through us. We can sell the pre-construction bundle. It's kind of interesting as if you want a la carte pieces of the pre-construction bundle, parts of them we are able to sell a la carte. Takeoff being one. The other pieces to it, and without being directly connected to sales, I might make a mistake here, but it's my understanding that if we were to sell ProEst as a product, that would have to go through Autodesk directly if we're going to sell it as a standalone.
Okay.
And that is, I believe that is the case, but it also is that is also changing quickly as the integration with ProEst develops. That'll definitely be we'll have that SKU, I'm sure, fairly soon, at least hopefully.
And I think it's the same idea with Building Connected Pro, TradeTap, and BidBoard. We're able to sell them as part of the bundle, but we are not, from IMAGINiT, we are not able to sell them individually. We can follow up to verify that, but that is my current understanding.
And
Okay.
furthermore, we can be the conduit. So if you're looking for it, just let us know, and we'll put you in. We'll facilitate that the product getting into your hands for sure.
All right. Well, imagine, Vince, you thought this was going to be 30 minutes. That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, and we're at 2:09.
I'm long-winded, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you very much for submitting questions. It looks like they were answered. We've got a lot of thanks coming in. So, Alan, Vince, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks everyone for joining and staying with us. Again, if you need anything following today's presentation, please feel free to email me. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.